Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. Okay, I know this might sound like a massive exaggeration, but mastering just 12 simple words in Spanish can literally unlock a whole new world of daily communication for you. Seriously. Whether you're trying to schedule a meeting, catch a flight, buy groceries, or, just navigate your daily routine, the numbers 1 through 12 are absolutely crucial building blocks. You're going to use them more than almost any other vocabulary. So today, we're not just going to memorize a list of words, we're going to actually put them to work. Here's a quick roadmap of how we're going to do this. First up, the foundation, numbers 1 through 12. Second, telling time in Spanish. Third, we'll get into some Spanish math with plus and minus. And finally, part 4, Spanish math, multiply and divide. So let's dive right in.
All right, part 1, the foundation, numbers 1 through 12. These are the 12 words that are going to do all the heavy lifting for us today. Now, I want you to actually say these out loud with me, wherever you are right now. No, really, do it. Getting the rhythm of these words in your mouth is the best way to lock them into your memory. So looking at that first column, we've got 1 through 6. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Awesome. Now let's hit the second column, 7 through 12. Siete, ocho, nueve, diez, once, doce. You hear how 11 and 12, once and doce kind of rhyme at the end? That makes them super easy to remember. Let's do the whole shebang real quick. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez, once, doce. Boom. Those are your essential vocabulary blocks. Moving on to part 2, telling time in Spanish. Now that we have our foundation, let's tackle one of the most absolutely critical questions you're going to ask or answer in any language. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? Okay, pay attention, because there is a pretty huge grammatical twist when it comes to telling time in Spanish. Look closely at how we say 1 a.m. compared to 2 a.m. For 1 o'clock, we say es la una. But the minute we hit 2 o'clock, we say son las dos. So what's with the change? Well, 1 is singular, right? So we use the singular verb es. But 2, and literally every single hour after it, is plural. So we switch over to the plural verb son las. It's a tiny shift, I know, but it is the golden rule of Spanish time-telling. The most important thing to remember here is that this plural rule applies all the way around the rest of the clock. Since every number from 2 up to 12 is more than 1, they all take son las. So 3 a.m., son las tres. 4 a.m., son las cuatro. 5 is son las cinco, all the way down to 12, which is son las doce. Once you lock in that singular es la una versus the plural son las for everything else, you have essentially mastered the Spanish clock. All right, let's test that out right now. ¿Qué hora es? I want you to mentally, or again, even better, out loud, tell me the time for these 4 hours. Ready? Let's start with 5 a.m. Did you say son las cinco? Perfect. Okay, what about 8 a.m.? Yep, that'd be son las ocho. How about 10 a.m.? Son las diez. And finally, the big one, 12 a.m., son las doce. Look at that. You're already using those foundation numbers to communicate schedule and structure. Great job. Up next is section 3, Spanish math, plus and minus. Let's see how this basic foundation translates into everyday transactions. Because whether you're counting out change at a farmer's market or just figuring out how many days are left until your vacation, you're going to need some basic math. But before we get into the actual numbers, we need to anchor our action words. Sumar means to add, and the word for the plus sign itself is más. Restar means to subtract, and the word for the minus sign is menos. So, más and menos, plus and minus. Keep those 2 words right at the front of your mind for this next part. Let's look at a few simple addition problems from our source material. We've got 5 plus 5, 7 plus 5, and 9 plus 3. I want you to look at these and try to translate the equation into Spanish in your head. So, for example, that first one would be cinco más cinco. The third one? Nueve más tres. Actually, let's isolate that middle one for a quick interactive quiz. Vamos a sumar. Let's add. Siete más cinco. 7 plus 5. What is the Spanish word for the answer? Think back to our foundation chart. Siete más cinco. Doce. 12. Siete más cinco equals doce. If you got that, give yourself a pat on the back. You are successfully translating math across languages, which is a seriously amazing cognitive exercise. All right, let's shift gears to restar, to subtract. Remember, our keyword here is menos. We have 10 minus 1, which is 10 menos 1, We have 12 minus 2, which is 12 menos 2. And we have 12 minus 8. Just pick your favorite out of those and solve it in your head using your Spanish numbers. Let's focus on that last one together. Vamos a restar. 12 menos 8. 12 minus 8. So what does that leave us with? What's the Spanish number?
Cuatro. 12 menos 8 is cuatro. Fantastic! You know, by doing this, you're reinforcing those base numbers while simultaneously learning entirely new verbs and concepts. It's honestly how you build fluency rapidly. Okay, moving right along to Section 4, Spanish Math, Multiply and Divide. Let's keep this momentum going. Just like before, we've got to lock in our key action words. To multiply is multiplicar, and the word for times, or multiplied by, is por. To divide is dividir, and the word for divided by is entre. So, por and entre. Let's take a quick look at our multiplication list. We've got 2 times 3, 4 times 3, and 6 times 2. Go ahead and translate those silently. The first one is 2 por 3. The last one is 6 por 2. Now for the challenge. Vamos a multiply. 4 por 3. 4 times 3. Take a second. What is the number in Spanish? 12. And, you know, this brilliantly illustrates how all our daily math just keeps looping right back to our 12 core numbers. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 por 3 equals 12. Real quick, let's look at division, dividir. Remember, our keyword here is entre. 9 divided by 3 is 9 entre 3. 12 divided by 3 is 12 entre 3. And 6 divided by 2 is 6 entre 2. Honestly, whether you're splitting a dinner bill with friends or just cutting a recipe in half, entre is the word you're gonna need. All right, it is time for the grand finale. This is the boss level. We're gonna combine telling time, a mathematical operation, and our numbers into one super practical everyday scenario. So imagine you're traveling. If it is 10 a.m. las 10, and we subtract, or menos, 2 hours to adjust for new time zone, ¿qué horas? What time is it? 10 menos 2. And, hey, don't forget the golden rule of telling time for plural hours. Son las 8 a.m. 10 minus 2 equals 8. And because 8 is plural, we use son las. If you got that, huge congratulations. You just successfully assembled all the building blocks we've discussed today into a pretty complex, practical sentence. You now truly know the power of the numbers 1 through 12 in Spanish. You can count, you can schedule, and you can calculate. The only question left is, how are you going to use them actively in your daily routine today? Look at the clock right now and say the time in Spanish. When you buy your coffee, add the cost up in your head in Spanish. The tools are absolutely yours now. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep practicing those numbers.